All right, lead the way.
Another thing I think I would like to talk about, since we're kind of getting used to recording, is energy and how that can, like, I guess you could say, play a factor in disconnecting cameras. Because I've always loved how, like, Tony talks about, you know, oh, I tried to record this and we went in 2 hours and then either A, some equipment broke, or B, my camera just stopped working.
Yep.
And having to replace that. So I think, explain a little more on that and what you think, how energy can travel.
I don't really know what to say about that. You're not really leading me in a way I could go about that.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, cameras die. That's all I can really say about that. I don't know what you're trying to pull out of me.
I don't know, maybe like a spiritual
right.
connection, right?
I mean, so yeah, you and I have run into problems where, like, we'll be talking about some, I don't want to say sketchy shit,
yeah,
but like semi-sketchy shit, maybe anti-narrative stuff on our FaceTimes and such, and then
yeah, that's true.
The feed just cuts out and we got to restart our computers and try reconnecting and all that stuff. So
that's a little bit more sketchy. I feel like you need a good point to make, because like you just said, technology is kind of shit at times.
Yeah.
So
yeah, like my dad said, it could just be a ghost in a machine, so it could just be the machine acting weird.
Mm-hmm.
But at the same time, we're FaceTiming off of a service, Google for example, that actively tries to ban certain information from going around, mm-hmm. and we're talking about that information that they try and ban on their service. So it's not super weird to me that we would encounter our systems being shut down, mm-hmm. when talking about that stuff on a service that they don't want us to talk about. Yeah. Now I don't know for certain if they're monitoring people's chats. I've heard some services will do that.
Oh, for sure they will.
So who knows to say if that's what Google does and such. Now, and yeah, Tony Merkel talking about, you know, some super spiritual topics they cover. They have bugs in the machine, shutting down, cameras dying, a soundboard getting so hot that it dies completely, it fries, and they have to get a new one, stuff like that. So is that kind of where you're trying to go with this?
Sure. Yeah, 100%.
You want to go? Let's go that way.
This way?
Yeah, man. So I'm gonna finish up the rant I was on before we stopped, though. Because I was talking about how this is a video game, simulation theory. You know, scientists look at the world and they say it looks like it's being projected from somewhere, and I'm saying that might not be too hard to wrap your head around, especially if God is projecting. Like think of like VR. Now what if here we go. So we got to back up, because like in Genesis 3, you know, the devil, the serpent, Satan, convinces or coerces Eve into eating the apple, and then Adam into eating the apple, and then God basically says, we'll go left. God says to the serpent, you know, your seed will be at enmity or war with the seed of the woman, basically for the rest of time until you're destroyed. And so fast forward to what, Genesis 6, I'm pretty sure, where they talk about the sons of God, which are the angels, who kind of already turned against him at this point, saw that we'll go left first, saw that the women of earth, the daughters of men, were beautiful, and they came down and chose wives of them. That just goes nowhere. So now we have this narrative that these fallen angels came down, chose wives, blah, 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 all this stuff. What I'm suggesting is enough angels, which were supposed to be holy and pure, a third of them fell. And it probably got to a point where enough of them fell where God said, okay, I got to do something about this. Thus creating the humans to correct the failures of the angels. It's just up there. It's that bridge.
Yeah.
So I know that, I'm pretty sure, even though God judges us, the humans, I'm pretty sure humans later on would judge the angels for their treatment and living up to the standards that were set for them, which is kind of where the failures of the angels are corrected by humanity. So I'm suggesting enough angels fell that we were probably all angels at some point, and God said, well, in order to correct this, first of all, I need a way for these angels to be judged, but I also need a way to find out if more angels are going to turn on me. And the way he finds that out is by making all the angels humans, or at least a large majority of them, and having them go through this trial where we can fuck up on earth and get ourselves sentenced to hell or heaven, rather than fucking up in heaven and bearing that weight of our fuck ups onto God and destroying heaven ultimately. So instead of destroying heaven through our fuck ups, he's saying, here, enter this VR, enter this video game, enter this playground, fuck up here and I'll judge you here, rather than my holy sanctuary. And so people who fuck up here and go to hell, well, maybe they were most likely to be of fallen angels if we weren't ever sent to earth, and vice versa. If we were angels and we came here and lived as angels and got graced with going up to heaven, well, we were meant to be holy angels the whole time, and we lived up to that rather than falling.
Sorry, that was a lot. Let me take that in.
Yeah, man. Let's cross this bridge though.
We're gonna turn back the way we came, right? Or we're gonna keep going that way?
Yeah, we'll cross over and go that way.
Okay.
I know it stops at some point, so we gotta turn around.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of dirt trails in there we can go on.
Sure. Sorry, no, you can continue. I was just thinking.
No, it was a mouthful.
No, yeah.
I don't even know where to go from there. I kind of proved my point. The only thing I could really do is break it down more to kind of give a better understanding, but I think I beat the dead horse enough.
Okay. Yeah, when I was younger, our school used to take us skiing there.
Oh yeah? I kind of would like the idea of crossing over onto this island.
This one?
Yeah.
It's not too, no.
My buddy and I, when we were canoeing up this river, actually, like at one point I took off like pretty much all my clothes except my shorts, and I just sat in the water. It was nice and cold, man. He kind of brought up a good point too. I mean, the water's all dirty and murky, but there's a ton of dirt and shit around. But I was talking about, like, man, there's so much like of our waste goes into this water, and he's like, yeah, but it's probably so diluted because of all the water that it almost doesn't matter. It's not like I'm looking down seeing fresh turds like float by. If I did, I'd be like, fuck that water, man.
Yeah, for sure, dog.
This moon star shines even in the dark. The moon star shines even in the dark.
Beautiful.
I don't know why they called it a moon star. It's just the moon. Yeah. It's not really a star. Yeah, that's what I'm thinking, some cryptic thing. But like, for a star to be a star, it's got to have gases in it and it's got to emit its own light. But the moon doesn't emit light, it reflects light. So actually, something I kind of been thinking about recently. Now, I don't have enough solid evidence to like go rambling on about this too much, but I've heard it said that in some super old philosophers' writings, they talk about how like one day the moon wasn't there and then it just appeared in the sky, almost like it was moved here like a ship. Now, I also think about how important the moon is when it comes to like black magic. And so I kind of have this idea that the moon is this supernatural magical rock that was brought here by dark forces to help promote the growth of dark forces across the earth.